Alright, hey everybody, welcome to chiustream. This is going to be another great day. I can just feel it. Wonderful day today in Toronto, Canada. Why don't we start off the stream like how we start off every stream by just doing a little roll call. See who's out there, give you guys a shout out. Just to know that there's plenty of us all over the place, hungry to become better at art, to follow our dreams, working in movies or video games or whatever it might be. Let's hear it. So Bulgaria, Germany, Toronto, saying a shout out to India, Singapore, Spain, Brazil, Holland, Florida, Siberia, wow, just everywhere. UK, Saskatchewan, Chicago. Awesome. Yeah, it's great to have everybody on the stream today. Big shout outs to all the old in-house workshop students. What's up, everybody? Great to see everybody on there. Ukraine is up in here. Awesome. But yeah, just big shout outs, special big shout out to, all those old in-house workshop students that spent 30 days with us at the in-house workshop. Used to be in Toronto. Now it's just outside of Montreal, Canada. It's a beautiful, over 6,000 square foot house where we only accept 4 students at a time. Really remarkable, intense, peaceful at the same time. Just a crazy experience. It's like the craziest reality show without cameras. So welcome to those guys, and welcome to everybody showing up. Just painting a little painting here of a sketch that I did a few days ago. It's like I don't know, I was just thinking something pretty random. It's a piranha puppy getting chased chasing a mushroom kid. And as you know, piranha puppies love to eat mushroom kids. So that's the whole idea behind this one. And what we're giving away today, okay, just like every week I try to give something back out there to the world. Today, if you go to bit.do/chiustream, it will lead you to our Facebook fan page. And on this Facebook fan page for chiustream, the very first post there, if you just share that, then not only are you spreading good vibes, but you are also eligible to win a weekend pass to one of our awesome schoolism workshops that we're going to be doing. It's going to be you can win a pass to either Montreal, the Berlin workshop, the Montreal workshop, the London workshop, or the Florianopolis, Brazil workshop. Traveling is not included, of course, but you do get, the workshop pass for free. And if you haven't been to schoolism workshop, definitely check it out. It's another level of education when you're learning from the people that are doing the things that you want to do, as opposed to learning from people that maybe never have done the things that you want to do. There's many ways to the top, but I always found when you go to the source, when you go to the people that are doing the things that you want to do, logically it makes sense too. You have a much better chance to get there if you're learning from the people that are already there. Of course, there are great teachers out there as well that perhaps never have done or worked in movies, things like that, or done the things that you want to do. and they can still help you there, but you can never really tell, can you? Anyhow, great to have so many people out there tuning in. And the other thing that we can do is if you go to bit.do/chiustream, you will be, if you go to the very first post on that Facebook fan page, you can ask questions, and I'll be happy to answer the questions. So definitely write down a bunch of your questions there, and I'll be looking at it from time to time. Okay, and if I could just give one other shout out to Autodesk Sketchbook Pro. These guys are awesome. Why? Because they support all these wonderful things that I'm trying to do to help the art community. They sponsor every single Schoolism workshop and help us to, go to distant lands, distant awesome cities, and visit people that probably never would have thought that, the artists that we bring would ever show up there. And Sketchbook Pro has really helped to make this a reality. So let's go with the very first question. And the very first question is actually a question that I put on there. Okay, this was from Vitaly from last week, and Vitaly asks, what is your ultimate goal now? Has it changed during the last few years? What a great question. I recommend that everybody have an ultimate goal. It's super important, because if you do not have an ultimate goal, then you're kind of just letting life steer you wherever you want to go, or wherever it takes you. And sometimes this is a good thing. A lot of times this can be a bad thing. When you let chance steer your life, you're just letting chance steer your life, and who knows where it's going to take you. If you've ever seen the National Geographic, nature channels, things like that, life isn't always kind. It's part of the whole challenge of life, the whole beauty of being alive in this world, is that there's these challenges, and we have to learn how to deal with them, and especially with artists, right? With artists, it's even more, it applies to us even more, because being an artist is not an easy thing to do. I always say being an artist isn't an easy thing to do, but it's all super doable. It's not like we need to weigh a certain amount, be of a certain height, be of a certain gender. And nowadays, it's not like you even have to live in a certain place. I live in Toronto, Canada, but I work on, I've been working on films. Pretty much 90% of them are from, or 95% of them are from California. And I don't live in California. So as long as you have the internet nowadays, it's totally doable. I know that people do artwork, and have successful careers through the internet, online. But what I'm trying to tell you is that those people, like myself included, are no different from you. And if we believe that we have options, if we know that we have options, then we have options. But if we do have options and we don't believe it, chances are, that's going to actually crush your spirits, and you're not going to be able to achieve those things that you want to achieve, just because you don't know that you have the option to achieve them. So anyways, going back to Vitaly's question here, what is my ultimate goal now? Has it changed during the last few years? my ultimate goal for many years now has just been very simple: to try to affect as many people's lives in a positive way as possible. I think that's a good goal for anybody to adopt. How do I try to do this? Well, that's something that's changed over the years. In the beginning, well, I didn't have a name for myself, right? That's how we all kind of start off. So what could I do? How could I affect people in a positive way? What I did was I just started sketching on the subways. I just started sketching on the subways and just asked anybody that wanted to come and join. They're welcome. They're very welcome to join. And, you know, I would teach them for free. That's the whole idea. Later on, this became the stream, doing YouTube videos about things that have helped me throughout the years to, stay employed, working on cool stuff, things that I want to do, and try to hopefully spread these tips on what has worked for me to people like yourselves, and hopefully that will, affect your careers in a positive way. If it has, what I'd ask is that you spread the things that have worked for you to other people as well, and keep it going. Spreading the good vibes. All right. Let's go to another comment here. Okay, so Monica asks, do you have any tips on working from home and from a distance? Are there any must-dos when you're not able to work face-to-face? Are there any non-art books you would recommend about teamwork, leadership, goals, etc.? Totally. Okay, there's a bunch of questions there. Monica, thank you for the question. So do I have any tips on working from home and, long distance, right? Where do we start? Where do we start? Working from home, what I would suggest is every night before you, go to sleep, or sometime after 5 o'clock p.m., write your to-do list for the next day. Write your to-do list about the things that you feel you totally should do, and a few things that you would like to do. And if you finish the things that are super urgent, allow yourself to call it a day sometimes. Because working from home, you're always at work. And a lot of times you don't know when work would stop. And we're not in it for a year or two. We're in the art business for hopefully decades, hopefully 30 years, hopefully even more, who knows. So it's all about the long run. And the sooner you think about that, the sooner you start thinking about, this is for the long run, this is something that I want to do for 30 years, then the way that you do things tend to change. It's all about longevity. Right? So when you're working hard, that's great. Have kind of like a goal in mind of the things that you want to finish in that day. If you want to keep going, keep going. But allow yourself the opportunity to choose whether or not to stop after you finish the main things that you want to finish. Okay, that I found was very helpful. The other thing that I found helpful was, because you're working from home, you have to make up your own schedule. And what I like to do is I like to set it so that I work in 90-minute spurts. Set your alarm. Set your alarm for 90 minutes. And after 90 minutes, you're going to get up, you're going to take 10 minutes. and just do whatever the heck you want. Hopefully do some stretches, hopefully get up, walk around, things like that. What this does, for me anyways, is that first, I know that I only have 90 minutes till the next break, so there's a sense of urgency. You tend not to goof around as much. And second, every time you take a break, you come back and you have a fresh look on things. I found that I actually get more done scheduling in these little breaks throughout the day than if I didn't. You know, how many of us just all of a sudden start, you know, before you know it, are on Facebook or YouTube for like way too long. 30 minutes, an hour, goofing off. If you take things in 90-minute increments, it'll keep you productive. Are there any must-dos when not being able to work face-to-face? Not must-dos, but especially when you're just starting off, travel. Travel to the places where artists are going to be. Because even if I like somebody's work online, that doesn't necessarily mean that I want to hire them to work with me. Because I don't know their personality. I don't know them. And you know what? That's the very same for many studios. Like, you know, we spend the time building a studio, building a team of people that we really like to work with. Right? If you just have one person in there that you don't like to work with, it kind of ruins everything. And it just, you know, it just makes, it's kind of like when you have 20 great comments and then one mean comment. Which comment are you going to focus on? What are you going to be focusing on? You're going to be focusing on that thing that's giving you problems, that one comment that you just didn't like. You know, so in order to kind of settle people's fears, because you might be starting off, not a lot of people know you yet, budget in the idea of going to, you know, a few trips every year. I know this is an investment, but it's an investment just like education. It's an investment that's going to pay off. I guarantee you. You know, you double your success by tripling your education. You double your success when you start tripling your, you know, your traveling. We used to go to 14 comic conventions a year to start off. Now, that might seem like a lot, and it is, but financially, it's totally fine and it's totally a positive thing if, you know, if you have the skills and you have the good ideas and you have, you know, nice stuff to sell. In the very beginning, we didn't have a name for ourselves. We still went to these conventions, and we actually, you know, we didn't make a bucket load, but we made it worth our while to go there and, you know, show our stuff. Make some face-to-face meetings with people, talk with people, get to know new people. That's a huge thing. You know, just by knowing one person doesn't mean that you know one new person. That means that you know that one person now, and you could potentially be introduced to 20 other people from that one person. It's not uncommon. Now, the last part here, are there any non-art books you would recommend about teamwork, leadership, goals, etc.? Actually, yes. You know, many of you that know me know that I love reading. And instead of listening to music, most of the time I'm actually just listening to audiobooks. You know, that way I don't have to, you know, I could still paint at the same time. So teamwork. Teamwork. The one that I would recommend for teamwork, there's a bunch, but I'll tell you my favorite is called A Game Plan for Life by John Wooden. All the basketball fans out there, college basketball fans especially, should know that name, John Wooden. He is, pretty much the most brilliant college basketball coach that ever lived. And this is a book about um, teamwork. It's a book about leadership. Another really good one for teamwork would be shoot, what was it? I think it's called The Five Dysfunctions of a Team. Let me just try to think. Yeah, the five dysfunctions of a team. I'm pretty sure that that's what it's called. That's a great book too. It's done in more of a, just like telling you a story, and through the story you learn all these lessons. But it's, yeah, really love that book about teamwork. Leadership, the 5 levels of leadership. People love putting numbers on things. The 3 essential things that you need to do to succeed and stuff like that. But I think it's called The 5 Levels of Leadership. Really love that book. Really made a lot of sense to me. And reading is awesome because you get all this great information from super, talented people, and their thoughts during the absolute prime of their lives. So I used to be a person that didn't like to read. But now that I, try to read books that will enrich my life, I'm addicted. It's like cheap knowledge at your fingertips. Um, Goals. A good book on goals. I would say the classic. You got to go to the classic, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This one I love because this was a book written by a person that had so many resources at his fingertips. He was able to, talk with the wealthiest people in America at the time. Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, J.P. Morgan, Andrew Carnegie, all these amazing people, to learn how they succeeded from nothing. Well, I guess not J.P. Morgan. He was already very well off. But, like Henry Ford, all these, it's pretty much this book about how to, it's called Think and Grow Rich, but really the title should be Think of a Goal and Achieve a Goal, because that's what it's really about. So I would definitely recommend that one. What else is there? Let's go to the next question. Okay. But yeah, great question, Monica. Roberto asks, how to maintain my child imagination when I get older? Just keep doing what you're doing. It's not that hard to learn when you're older, as long as you keep learning. It's not that hard to imagine things, from almost like the child perspective, if you're always, constantly imagining things from the child perspective. What makes it hard is when we stop, right? So, yeah, really good questions so far. You know, let's see if there's any more questions here. So I've got a question. Ian writes, working on a comic book, but I'm having trouble drawing action scenes. I was wondering if you had any suggestions of where or materials someone can use to learn to draw action. I think the first thing that we have to understand here is the best way to kind of succeed in what we do is to learn how other people did it first. Learn what everybody has done. Learn what our species has done to this point. And I guarantee you, you will do way better than if you didn't take the time to really study, where we've been. You have that saying, standing on the shoulders of giants. That's exactly what it means. Standing on the shoulders of giants means that you are learning what everybody has learned previous to you, and you're continuing from that. I always talk about filling up your head with a mental library of what's been done. When you have a library, it helps you it helps you to find all the information that you need to become original and come up with your own original ideas and things like that. As funny as that sounds, looking at other people's stuff, it's true. Study from your favorite action films. Study from your favorite action-oriented art, whatever it is. Learn to not just copy it, but to understand it. Why did somebody draw this? Why did somebody do this? Why did the director pick this shot over that shot? What is it about those shots? What do all these shots have in common? Do it like that, and then you'll start to understand the real mechanics of what makes an awesome action shot, and then you'll be able to do a better job. And it's fun. What you can do is you could take something like, say you take something like Transformers, and then you look at a great action shot from there, or whatever, action movie you want to look at. Maybe it's Guardians of the Galaxy, right? And you're looking at Guardians of the Galaxy, and you kind of get this freeze frame of one of these awesome action scenes. Maybe, Star-Lord is getting chased down by a bunch of aliens. He's in the front, they're in the back, chasing after him. What I would do is and this is what I've done in the past, I would copy it, I would study from it, and then perhaps I would paint another scene slightly different characters, but still perhaps the same context where there's one main character getting chased by all these other characters in the back. Then I might do another one where perhaps it's the same thing, it's just that I changed the lighting this time. And then you slowly deviate from that original study until the point where you have a completely new idea. If you make this a habit, I guarantee you're going to fill up your mental library quite quickly. And it's actually pretty fun. Because you're not just practicing now. You're practicing with a certain learning outcome in mind. And that's powerful. I always tell a lot of students when I was teaching life drawing, what are you trying to strengthen right now? Are you trying to strengthen your ability to copy things? Are you trying to strengthen your ability to create things? Or interpret things? Or what is it? If it's copying things, then fine. Look at the model, copy everything that you see. If it's you want to be a creator, if you want to be a concept artist, then you have to think to create. And if you're in that boat, then you need to think about, well, how can I look at this model and how can it help me to create something? Perhaps I'm going to look at the model as reference, as just reference for my own creation. And then I would spend the time to really, create something that looks just like, the thing that I was referencing from. But the thought process that I had was of creating a character, not copying the character that I saw, but instead creating a character with the same essence and the same feel, the same emotion as the reference. It's totally different thinking. However, the outcome could be very, very similar. Let's go to another question here because a bunch of them are coming in. Toby's asking, how's learning ZBrush going? Man, ZBrush is difficult. I need to put in a lot of good time and practice into it. So it's going slowly, but a little every week. And just like subway sketching, it was just like a little bit every week, but for 5 years. And then all of a sudden I got really good at subway sketching, way better than I was before. It's like night and day. And my understanding of drawing people, drawing drapery increased heavily. So yeah, it's going slow right now, but it's still going. The main thing is that we don't stop these things. Even if you can just dribble out a tiny bit of practice time a week, keep it consistent. It's going to do great things. There's going to be momentum. Jenna from Saskatchewan. What's up, Jenna? Okay, will you be attending the CTN Expo this November? I'm going, and it's my first expo. I'm so excited. Question mark. Okay. Any tips on going to an expo for the first time? Okay, well, am I going to CTN Expo? Yes, I am. Love the CTN. It's an awesome event where you can meet just tons and tons of professionals. And yeah, really, really good networking opportunity there. But as well, for me, it's just a really fun time to learn, to see old friends, meet some new ones, and meet some awesome budding students as well. So, any tips on going there for the first time? Yes. If you are ready, if you feel like you're ready to get a table, get a table. Everything feels much more professional when you have a table, when you're an exhibitor, as opposed to a person carrying around a portfolio. Of course, if you're not ready to have a table yet, then carry around the portfolio. Get some good advice, things that you can work on, things like that. Your portfolio, keep it letter size. Don't have anything bigger than letter size. Especially if you're going to give it to me to look at, because I've been going through wrist problems for a long time, and I don't want to hold a big huge portfolio that's going to mess up my arm and make it hurt. The other thing is, even if somebody doesn't have wrist problems, it's cumbersome, it's just difficult to flip through as easily as something that was a bit smaller. Also, a lot of times people will put their portfolio on the artist's table, and if you have a giant portfolio, it's going to cover up a giant chunk of the table, and it's just, yeah. So have a small portfolio. have some business cards with you. And the business card, it should have an image on it. In my opinion, it should have an image on it that best represents the things that you like to paint and draw. If you like to draw creatures, don't put some graffiti tag, version of your name on the back of the card. It doesn't reflect the things that you do. Put a creature on the back if that's what you like to do. Do your research, Jenna. Do your research about the people that you want to meet. That way, if you know a lot about the person, especially updated stuff, that person will be more likely to talk with you longer. Because people always like to talk to people that show an interest in you, and they want to talk to you less when you have no idea who they are. And then finally, I would say just, if you're a shy person, work on the whole idea in your head and picture going up to people, going up to strangers, going up to everybody all the time and just, saying a little line to start a conversation. It doesn't have to be anything tricky or witty or funny or whatever. It could just be like, hi, how's it going, guys? This is my first time at CTN, so, I want to make the most of it. I'm just going around and trying to talk to as many people as I can because there's so many interesting people here. My name is Bobby, and I'm from Toronto. What's your name? And as simple as that. And like I said before, it's not like if you don't talk to a person that you were thinking of talking to, it's not like you missed out on meeting one person. It's more like you're missing out on meeting everybody that person would have introduced you to, as well as that person. Who knows? Perhaps even start now, Jenna, just talking to people on the streets. Try to make conversations. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Just like art, there's the art of conversation. Steve asks, how involved are you with Nico now that Amazon is producing the show? And are they producing it in Seattle? Well, Amazon is using the animation company, the animation studio Titmouse, to make the show. Titmouse made, I believe they made Tron, the animated series. They made Turbo Fast on Netflix after the DreamWorks movie Turbo. Great bunch of people. So I'm very excited about that. Where are they making it? I'm not sure. They got little places all over the place. I think a lot of it is happening in Vancouver. How involved are we with the show still? We're definitely still involved. But they do a great job. So we are more or less advisors, and we will, do art if it's needed, if they want it. But yeah, in the end, we are, everything is kind of left up to them to make the final decisions on things. Titmouse and Amazon, because it's in good hands. And I got stuff to do. So it works out for both parties. Let's go another question here, which comes from Calvin. And if you want to ask a question, just go to bit.do/chiustream. It will take you to Facebook fan page for this broadcast. And on the very first post there, share the post for a chance to win a weekend pass to one of our schools and workshops, and ask a question in the comments. Okay. So Calvin asks, so Bobby, may I ask, when you're out of ideas, what's the most accustomed way to get it any new ones? Okay, so just paraphrasing, when I'm out of ideas, what do I do to get new ones? Like when you're out of inspiration, get up, walk around, look at stuff, look at some books, look at some, art, look at whatever, talk with friends. It's pretty much take a break. Take a break, walk around while still thinking, that I'm looking for a good idea. And a lot of times, if you have no idea what it is you're going to do, a lot of times I try to start off with an emotion. In the grand scheme of things, at the highest level point of view, art is there to evoke emotion. So what kind of emotion do you want to have from the viewer, from your audience? And a lot of times I'll just start off with that and try to, when you put limitations on things, then a lot of times it's actually easier to become creative. When it's completely blue sky and you can do whatever the heck you want, a lot of times it's actually harder to be creative. Something from the chat. Does it frustrate you when people don't use some kick-ass picture you worked on and think is really great, but then it all comes to nothing? Definitely. I know what you're talking about, Sean. I know what you're talking about. I feel your pain. Yeah, what do you do when it's like you did something that you really, really like and the director doesn't like it, or the art director or the client doesn't like it? Or worse yet, what if they pick something that you didn't like as much? Well, if you did something that you liked and the client doesn't like it, hey, that's life. And a lot of times what we have to do is we have to just think about how to make that nice balance, between what you want and what the client wants. Let's see. And then there's always, what if you handed in a bunch of things, and the person didn't pick the thing that you liked? In those cases, it's more about how picky are you with the things that you hand in. Make sure that you hand in things that are okay for them to pick, and you would actually like it if they picked it. Okay, so some really good questions here coming in. Something that I wanted to leave with you guys today, some thoughts to think about today, is that I was saying art is hard, right? Art is hard, but I try to emphasize that it is extremely doable. All it takes is working out that brain enough to create some talent, to create some good art skills. We all have what it takes. Too many people I've seen throughout the years give up on their dreams because of fear of what loved ones and friends might think, or what they feel is possible. Forget what other people think. Forget what you think is possible, and just trust me on this, that it is possible with enough grit, discipline, common sense. Follow your heart on what it is that you would love to be doing, for the rest of your life or for a good portion of your life. Follow your heart, and great things will happen. Keep your head up, constantly looking, where have I been? Where am I now? Where do I feel I'm going? Where can I get that knowledge that will bring me to that next level? What can I do to develop the skills that will bring me to that next level, a step closer to my goals? What am I doing now? What are you doing now, in your lives? Does it align with your goal? Does it get you closer to your ultimate goal? If it doesn't, start doing things that will get you closer. Even if they're just tiny, tiny, small things, if you keep them consistent, there's momentum in that. And it will open up new and more possibilities about how to, get to those goals even quicker. Nothing can stop someone that is self-motivated, and especially if they have time on their hands. If you are 20 something, you got so much time on your hands that whatever you put your mind to, you will have a very, very good chance to achieve it with enough heart, common sense, discipline. Okay, so keep that in mind. Something that I've learned along the years is that time can do so much. It can transform cultures. It can change how we do things, how we think about things. One person can do that. I know that over the years, all this, trying to spread the things that have helped me, the things that I feel can help others, I know that that's helped to change communities. I know that's helped to change our art community. Even if it's just slightly, just one person can do that. Okay, let's go to another question here. So Ketty asks, I'm doing a personal travel inside me. Now I'm reapproaching my old dreams. I'm falling in love with children's books illustrations. Is there something in schoolism that you suggest for my studies? Depends on what you want to get better with. If you want to do children's book illustrations, most always these children's books have characters in them. So I would definitely think about perhaps taking a character design course to help grow your knowledge and your foundation about creating characters that will really resonate with people, really make them memorable and appealing. Painting courses. Really, I think the question is more like, what do you start off with first? And that really depends on your skill level. If you feel like you want to start a bit more beginner, my digital painting techniques course is pretty good. I would recommend that, or Andrew Howe's course, Introduction to Digital Painting. If you're a lot more seasoned, perhaps you'd go into something more like Sam Nielsen's courses, where he talks about light and color on a very, very in-depth, advanced level, scientific level at times. Or Nathan Fowlkes' class. Nathan is one of the hottest teachers out there. And if you're lucky enough to get into one of his courses, totally do it. But whatever course you take, I'm pretty sure it's going to be awesome. You know, I make sure that every schoolism course, you know, is up to standards. So I feel pretty confident that you can't really go wrong. Let's see. Okay, Monica asks another question. How do you approach feedback and critique of work of other people, both the people you don't know and your coworkers? I try to say it in a way where this is my opinion. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but this is my opinion, and this is why I think this way. This is why I'm thinking this of, you know, whatever art that you're showing me. Because nobody can say that you're wrong, right? They can only say, well, that's your opinion. The other thing that you want to do is you want to hopefully tell them something positive in the beginning. You know, nobody likes to hear just bad news, so try to mix it in with some good news as well. Yeah, that's what I'd say. You know, something that I would also like to express to people out there is that, you know, especially if you're just starting off, sometimes it's a bit, you know, it's a bit of a struggle. Sometimes it's a huge struggle, and a lot of times this is not like a lot of times it's not our fault. A lot of times it's not what we deserve, but it happens. And what I want to say to you is things get better as you get better. You know, doubters and haters lurk at the bottom. So when you're just starting off, you're surrounded by a lot more doubters, haters. Okay, but they lurk at the bottom because they're too fearful or ignorant to try. True failure comes from not trying. So keep trying, keep working hard, and you're going to get out of there. And when you reach the other side, it's nice, it's peaceful, it's wonderful. You're working with great people, people that you would love to work with again and again. It's kind of like when I was starting off, I felt like I was like one of those little fish that's trying to swim up the rapids, up and over these waterfalls. And all of the other fish around me, they're trying to do the same thing. And, you know, all of us are failing. We try to jump and we don't get over. Try to jump, we don't get over. Eventually you see one or two of them get over. And now they're on the other side of the waterfalls, where it's nice and peaceful. There's no more rapids. It's beautiful. Well, it doesn't matter how many times you try, as long as you keep trying until you get over. And it doesn't matter how many times you fail, as long as you try to reassess, try to come at the problem from a different angle. I guarantee you, if you succeeded 1,000 times and you succeeded one time and finally got over there to the other side, you are going to be so happy that you didn't stop trying. It makes the success of it all even more worth it when you have a whole bunch of failures to go through. And a lot of those failures, a lot of those hardest times throughout your career are going to be some of the fondest memories that you had because you just tried so hard and everything was against you and you did it. You did it anyways. You kept going on and you succeeded. And because of that, it makes those harder times so much more powerful, so much more kind of inspiring. I see some people adding in questions into the comments. If you could, put them into the first post on the chiustream fan page by going to bit.do/chiustream and just typing it in there, I'll be able to answer it a lot easier. I will try to answer as many as I can. So let's see. Alex writes, is there a correct way to contrast your designs after adding values? Or do you adjust contrast, oops, lost it, after applying your color layer? Well, you can see that I'm applying contrast first before I even start to delve into colors. So, generally I do tones first. I do contrast in tones first before I start to bring in colors, simply because the first thing that you notice is the light, right? The light and the shadows. The next thing that you notice are the colors, the hues. So I generally go about it in a way where I'm going after the most important things first, the least important things last. Roberto asks a tough question, which is how to make my finances not affect my art. How do you make your finances not affect your art? Well, your finances will affect your art because you need money to be an artist. I think the easiest way about this is to always think, to have a goal, and with every art job you want to think, is this art job going to get me closer to my goal? If not, how bad do I need this art job? If it's not that bad, then don't take it. If it's extremely bad and you really need the money, then fine, take it. But every step that you can go forward closer to your goal, even if it means, a week of eating instant noodles or something, where you're really, really conserving, do that instead of doing a job where you're like, yeah, it's not really what I want to do, but it'll take me closer to my goal. Don't take those jobs. It's not good for you. It'll delay you from getting to your goals. And, people out there in the chat, there's people out there in general, especially older people, they'll tell you, time flies. Before you know it, you turn around, you used to be 20, now you're 30. Turn around again, now you're 40. The time goes by super quick, so make sure that you're constantly moving towards your goals, not sidestepping, not going backwards. Ketty is recommending that all the chiustreamers see the Schoolism interviews on Schoolism. I would definitely recommend that as well. That's exactly why we put them on Schoolism, is because, it all started because I used to always come back from these trips, come back from, meeting all these amazing artists, successful people, and bring the lessons that they would teach me, that they would share with me, to my friends in Toronto. people that never had the opportunity to meet all these incredible artists and people that I've been meeting. And one day, one of my good friends, Fez, he says, these tips are really good. You should put this stuff online. And that kind of led to interviewing all these amazing artists, people that I've gotten to know over time, good friends, things like that. These conversations that we would have, put them into interviews and put them online. What helped them succeed in art? What helped them get through the tough times and things like that? Christoph asks, how did Imaginism Studios get started? I've been trying to start an indie studio, but it's hard to start on my own. Well, it all started because I couldn't get a job. 9/11 happened, and it was still affecting the art, the community, and they weren't really actively hiring people that weren't American. Otherwise, I probably would have went to live in America. But with every disadvantage, there's a greater advantage in there somewhere. That's something that you just gotta believe. That's what I believe. And the advantage was, because of that, it made me start my own studio with my brother Ben, and with my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife, Kay. Just started this studio together because we didn't have any other options. We wanted to get closer to our goals of working in movies. Well, if nobody's going to give you a job, you're just going to have to do it yourself, and you're going to have to just keep doing stuff to get you closer to that goal. The other thing I did was I didn't accept bad art jobs. I actually quit an okay job, an okay art job at this studio called Nirvana to start my own studio. Not because it was a bad job, but because it wasn't aligned with my goals. It wasn't something that I felt would be good for my career to get me closer to my goals of working in film. So because I couldn't really find any jobs like that, I just created my own studio. And our whole plan was that we were going to put out 4 books in a year, one every 3 months. And at the end, we would go to San Diego Comic-Con. And people that make books, professionals that make books, make them maybe once a year, maybe once every 2 years, something like that, or once every 3 years, because they're busy. Well, we're just starting off. We're not busy. So we're going to make ourselves busy by putting together all these books. And then when we went to San Diego Comic-Con, we look like we've been around for like 10 years, because we had 4 books that were 72 pages each. Have some strategy. Think about the strategy. Think about all the little steps in the plan that you're putting together. Like this plan of starting your own indie studio. How are you going to get your name out there? What are you going to be doing? What is your image going to be? What's the message that you're saying out there? And most important thing is, when you're beginning, success is measured by how hard you try. Because a lot of times, even though you're on the right path, you're trying super hard, you might not see that success until much later on. Finally, somebody gives you a job. You have to realize that in the beginning, especially, success is measured by how hard you try. Effort is something that you can control. So be strong and keep that as your focus. Okay, Christoph? And everybody else out there, keep that as your focus. That's what I keep as my focus now. I don't dwell on whether or not the director is going to like whatever it is I'm doing, even though that would logically probably feel like that's the goal. But my goal is, am I trying my hardest? Because really, I can't control whether or not the director is going to like my stuff. What I can control is the effort that I put in, and that's what we want to focus on if we're trying to think about things in the long run. Like I said, this is everything here. This is for the long run. This is not for a 5-year career where after 5 years you quit and you do something else. This is for a successful art career, for you to be a successful artist. Right? You want to think about the things that have longevity in them. And you can definitely control the whole idea of, am I working my hardest? If you're working your hardest and it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter. Because you did what you could, and no matter what, other people are going to be making, more stuff afterwards. People that got to know you, got to know how hard you work, things like that. And they'll bring you along. The real question is, are you prepared for the big goal? Are you prepared for the next big opportunity? You got to prepare for the opportunity now. When you prepare for these opportunities now, then they'll come sooner than you think. That's the truth. I was preparing. So many people know that, I was thinking about, I want to work on a Tim Burton movie. I was thinking about that for a very long time before it happened. So when he did call, when his people did call, and I did get to work on Alice in Wonderland, I was fully prepared. I've been preparing for months. When you prepare for a certain goal, that goal will tend to come to you a lot quicker than you would have thought. Because by preparing for it, you are attracting it. Yeah, really, really good comments here. I think right now it's probably a good time to pick a winner. But let me just go to one more question here. Ruby. Okay, so Ruby asks, she says, I just started my first year of animation, and I was wondering, animation school. I was wondering, should I focus purely on fundamentals or begin to try concept art, lighting, etc. right now on my own time? Ruby, keep your focus on learning from other people, whether it's through books, through DVDs, through online, through whatever, through videos, whatever it is. Focus on learning from other people, because that will make your learning so much quicker, okay, Ruby, than if you just try to practice on your own. A lot of things you'll find, a lot of techniques and theories and things like that took the artist years and years to develop, but minutes or maybe an hour or two to explain to somebody else. So when you learn from others, you're learning way faster than learning by yourself. And just make sure that the people that you're learning from are good. Not just good, but great, and hopefully one of the best. That's how you're going to really excel. be careful who you're learning from. If you learn from somebody that doesn't know what they're saying, then all of a sudden you've got bad information. When you have bad information, it could stop you from achieving your goals. I remember a teacher telling me, you know, uh, creating your own studio without having 10 years of experience is suicide. Well, why? Is it because that teacher tried it before, it didn't work? Why would that person tell me that? That person obviously didn't really think about the the consequences of somebody believing, the thing that this person was saying. If I believed it, I would have not made, I wouldn't have made my own studio. I wouldn't have been able to work on all these things probably, and had the life that I have now, which I really enjoy. That's the problem with things sometimes. When somebody is a teacher, that doesn't make them a great teacher. When somebody's a doctor, that doesn't mean that they're a great doctor. We have to keep this in mind as we start getting all this information in. Bernardo. So Bernardo asks, you're talking about hard times and pushing through them. I feel like the hardest times aren't the ones coming from outside, where it seems the world is against you in some way, but actually the ones coming from inside, when I feel like I'm the only one between me and my goals. What should I do when this happens? Great question, Bernardo. The main thing that we have to realize is that there's a difference between our mind and our brain. Our brain is kind of like a tool that we use to think about stuff, right? Our mind is more like the thing that our mind is kind of like that voice that says, maybe we should do more exercise. The brain and the muscles, those are the things that are the ones that tell us, can we just do it another time? I'm tired. We have to realize that we have to train our brains to do what we want it to do. And right now what I'm hearing from your comments is that you need to think about that. You need to think about focusing your brain on the right things. Right? Focusing your brain on the right things. So it's like, is your brain just telling you, oh, I don't know if you can make it. I don't know if you could get a job. I don't know if you're going to become a successful artist. Just all these whiny things, like, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I just want to, let's go do something else. Why bother? You're not going to make it anyways. What we have to do with these thoughts is just smack them down. Wrestle them to the ground, smack them down, and think about what it is you want to be thinking about. What you want to be thinking about is, am I trying my hardest? Am I using common sense? That's what you have to think about. Am I trying my hardest? Am I using my common sense? Doesn't matter what you think about yourself, because that will change. Once you start succeeding, of course, you're going to start feeling, oh, yeah, I'm not that bad. perhaps these things are possible. Don't dwell on what you're thinking. More like put yourself in Forrest Gump mode and just do it and just keep running. Just keep running and running and running and running. Just keep drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing. Look up, use your common sense. Where else can I get more, better information? Things like that, and do it. By the way, I want to mention Schoolism has a sale twice a year. Twice a year only. So if you ever thought of taking a Schoolism class, self-taught, self-start, right now is the best time because we only have a sale twice a year. And the fall sale has started today. So if you go to Schoolism and you go to a class that you want to take, self-start, you would actually be saving $100 this month. And it allows everybody to have the opportunity to experience really good courses, really good education from many of the top artists in the industry. Not only that, but I was mentioning Nathan Fowlkes, super popular Schoolism teacher in general. His new class, Environment Design, is now available for the very first time as self-start. So you can pick up that class right now. The sale is on for the whole entire month of September 2014. So, don't let these opportunities pass you by. If you've never taken a Schoolism class, I'd highly recommend it. And if you have taken a Schoolism class, then you know what I'm talking about. And definitely don't pass the opportunity to take another one and keep that learning going. Keep that learning going. Even if it's not from Schoolism, just keep learning. Keep learning, because once you stop learning, that's when the world, everybody, starts to catch up to you. Because the whole entire world keeps learning. And if you stop, then you're going to start falling behind. Okay. Also, yeah, self-taught painting creatures, my new course, it's available as well as self-start. So, get on it. And for those of you that are thinking of going to Berlin, London, Montreal for one of these Schoolism workshops, do it. You won't be disappointed, I guarantee you. It's not just great info, but it's great networking as well. There's all these super hungry artists that come to these workshops that didn't need to come, but came anyways. And that's the kind of attitude that brings them so much more success. Is because all these people have that same thing in common, which is to keep learning, keep advancing, keep getting closer and closer to their goals. Okay. Will Daniel Arriaga's class be offered in self-taught form? I will check on that. I will check on that. Daniel Arriaga, in case anybody's wondering, he's an amazing character designer for Pixar. He's worked on many Pixar films, creating many lovable Pixar characters. So right now, I want to go to the shares and pick out somebody to give a Schoolism pass to, or a workshop pass to. Okay, and the winner is Matthew McMullen. Okay, so Matthew McMullen, you are the winner of free Schoolism pass. Oops. Okay. To either Montreal, London, Berlin, one of those. Okay, and you can look out for a message from me through Facebook. Okay. Great. I'm going to just check to see if there's any other kind of questions we haven't gotten to. But I think we've pretty much gone through everything so far. Oh, there's a bunch of new questions. So, okay, so does Sheridan do a lot of traditional animation or more digital? I don't know. I used to, I went to Sheridan College a long time ago. I taught there. The last time I taught there was probably around 6, 7 years ago. Back then, they did a lot of traditional animation. Is it computer animation now? There's definitely a lot of computer animation, but there's also traditional animation as well in their animation class. Okay, so there's another question here where it's saying, I feel like I'm stuck in a rut in animation at university. How do you suggest I move forward and improve? I try to draw every day and try different styles, but I feel a bit lost. This is when you go to learning from other people. Practice is only a result of learning from a person, somebody else, whether that be a book, a workshop, online class, whatever. Okay, if you're in a rut, buy a book, join a online class, do something where you're actively learning. And then the practicing is only a result of trying to absorb what you've learned. That will get you out of the rut because it'll give you way more options. It'll give you new ways of thinking, and that's going to give you tons of great, great ideas on how to make things even better. Let's see. Calvin asks, when it comes to create a style, what kind of practice or thinking should we do? Something like looking to works from you, favorite artists, photo references. Let's say I like to be a comic book artist. I want to get into this kind of market, but then I felt, well, you know what? The main thing is collect information, Calvin. Don't look for style. Look for knowledge. Knowledge, everybody says knowledge is power, and that is so much the truth. Knowledge is power. When you search for knowledge, your style will be created organically. When you're searching for knowledge, that's when the art that you do starts to reflect the person that you are. Because you're going to search for knowledge that interests you. And after you collected enough knowledge, and all this knowledge interests you, well, guess what? Your style starts to reflect you as a person. And some of the most powerful, most awesome styles, are all a reflection of the artists themselves. Where you meet the artist, and now you understand even more, why the artist paints the way that they do. That's the coolest thing about art. Jenny asks, what are some of the best online art communities to meet cool artists worldwide and get critique? Um, you know what? I don't really post on forums that much anymore. So I can't really recommend any forums and such, but you know, perhaps people, in the stream, in our little, chiustream community can help you with that. If you post your stuff in the chat and have people look at it, maybe we can just, help Jenny out and critique some of her stuff, give her some suggestions. All right, so I guess that's pretty much it for the stream. It's pretty much it for this painting as well. No piranha puppy chasing Mushroom Kid. So I want to thank all of you guys for just always making this so enjoyable for me to, come out here and talk with y'all. Really, I really feel like it's made a difference. Not just in my life, but, in a few people out there uh, that constantly tune in and constantly email me and tell me, that they like it. So, yeah, thank you everybody. Let me just finish up this painting. But remember, schoolism workshops happening Montreal, September, Berlin and London in October, Florianopolis, Brazil in November, and the Schoolism fall sale is happening right now where you save $100 off of self-start courses. Only 2 sales in a whole entire year. Definitely get on it and take advantage. Okay, the sale runs till the end of this month, to the end of September 2014. Save and share. Save some cash and share it with your friends, people that you know that might also be interested in benefiting from the sale. All right, and that's it for me. I'll see you guys next week. Take care and good night.